So it sounds like then maybe, and perhaps this is because of memory politics, that everybody in the world was surprised about the invasion except for Russians. I mean, first, do you think that's a fair statement? And if
No,
it's not maybe that extreme, then why, talk about some of the ways maybe that Russians might not have been surprised as opposed to Ukrainians.
I think that Russians were surprised, definitely. I think they were in shock, to be honest. And there was not the elation that you saw in 2014 of like, yeah, we've got Crimea back. It was different. People were worried. But there also weren't that many. There were some very, very brave people, but, the protest levels were not high compared to previous protests, let's say a year before, when we can kind of compare the repressive sort of measures, that exist in Russia. But the issue is that it sort of made sense to people because it made sense of everything they've been learning sort of through this kind of these historical narratives that were used to kind of as an analogy, as the only way to understand the present, which was that Russia used to be great until the West destroyed it. It put Nazis in power in Ukraine as part of destroying Russia because, Ukraine is part of Russia. It's rightfully ours, Russian. And so Putin, he took Russia and he got Russia up off its knees. That's a very popular phrase. He got Russia up off its knees after the West humiliated it, started doing, color revolutions, imposing its will on Russia's, spheres of interest, Russia's, innate natural allies. And now we are restoring justice, not restoring the full Soviet Union. Nobody wants Tajikistan, to put it bluntly, but restoring that core of what they see as historic Russia. So basically, the ideal, I guess, would be like a unified kind of federation between Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine, or at least most of central and eastern Ukraine. And normally they argue that Lviv and those places, they can just go to Poland, which is good of them. So it's that idea of restoration because there's no vision for the future in Russia. So there's just a vision of restoring the past and certain elements of the past that were unfairly taken. And that's kind of the best it can get, which is why the historical narratives are so important because it's about looking through the past, seeing where things went wrong, and then almost fixing them. And it's actually a very popular book genre as well in Russia, which is called Papadnichestvo. And these books are essentially about going back into the past and fixing some kind of historical moment, whether or not it's going back into World War II but you go back and you've got a super weapon and then you're able to like kill Hitler or you're able to stop all the losses of the Soviet Union. And I mean, they're really very popular. And it's that sense that something went wrong and we need to kind of go back and fix it and we need to relive it and get back to where we should be, what's rightfully ours.